Thank you for joining us. I'm Michael Miller, special guest today, Dr. Dominique Leveille.
Yes.
Thank you very much for being here, doctor.
Of course. Thanks
All
for
right.
having me.
And you have your PhD in, I know I have it here somewhere.
Yeah.
In
marriage and family
family, and you've been in this field for most of your life. You got your doctorate in 2019.
2019. Right? Yep, that's correct.
And then you also licensed marriage and family therapist, and you're a mediator.
Yes. And an EMDR.
And you're fluent in several languages.
Well, two languages.
That's well, 2 or 3.
Two or 3, right? Yep.
And you have your practice called Bliss Therapy.me in Palmetto Bay, the lovely city of town village of Palmetto Bay. So it is Christmas time. And we know people go through a lot of stuff at Christmas time because it's so reminiscent of all of years past.
Yes.
And so just the last couple months, we had Halloween, Thanksgiving, we have Christmas, New Year's, Hanukkah, and there was another Jewish holiday in there as well.
Yep,
so Kwanzaa. So we have a lot of emotions that are going on. A lot of families are different than they were growing up. Yes. So let's talk about where some people are during this holiday season.
So the holiday season, I think this is one of the reasons why maybe on TV, all the movies are so happy and are so joyous and showing us what family should look like or be like. Because what I'm seeing on my end in my practice is the holidays actually increase anxiety. It increases loneliness. It increases doubts that you've had. So let's say you're having a financial strain, but your wife, you know what the gift that your wife wants would put you in a bigger financial debt. But it's Christmas. We're supposed to be happy. You can't tell her no, or no, we shouldn't say that, right? We should go out, get into that financial stress and buy that gift because Christmas is about being happy. And unfortunately, we've connected the happiness to the object that we bring to the table.
And so often, especially if you've been married for a while, the first year anniversary, you might have a gift.
Yeah.
And then Christmas time, you have a gift. So after you do that several times, does that diamond keep getting bigger?
It should, yes,
yeah,
realistically.
Absolutely. You heard it right every year. But it doesn't. At some point, it impacts you. Go, no, I'm not going to do that because I don't have the money, or when does it stop?
And it should come to a point of Christmas and the holidays shouldn't put us in a financial or a stressful time. It should alleviate because we're off from work. A lot of us, this is the only time that we get to be with our family, everyone together. Usually no one is working, everyone is available. But instead of spending that time together, we're trying to focus on how do we make it perfect.
So why is it so often when people make jokes about Thanksgiving, your uncle's going to be there and all the fights are going to happen? But I don't hear that about Christmas. I hear it about Thanksgiving almost all the time.
Yes, because Thanksgiving is the very first occasion that we're all getting together. And for a lot of students that go away for college, now they're coming home for Thanksgiving break. This is their first break from being away from college. So a lot of them, their mindsets has changed. They've forgotten about the uncle that was loud or some of the things that we've coped with over the years because they're our family member. We love them, right? So now we're being pushed right back into those anxiety, those pressure cookers, those tense moments in the family, and we've forgotten. So now they sound even louder. Now it's even more annoying. Now it just has an extra layer. So Thanksgiving starts off the stress that our body's about to go through because it continues through December. It's just by Christmas, we smile. Right? We smile. Yeah. We've been learned that Christmas is a joyful time. We should be blessed and grateful, even though we feel empty and sad and frustrated on the inside.
So families that have had tragedies of youngsters in their family dying, right? And this might be the first time they're without that person.
Yes.
So you've been a therapist for many, many years, and I'm sure you've had many, many experiences with that.
Mm-hmm.
So for the person that's going through it for the first or second time or third, or they're really feeling the emotions about it, what are some short-term things that they can do before they can get to until they decide whether they need some help?
Is to make micro connections, reconnect with some of the family members or the things that you enjoyed that reminded you of the good times, maybe outside of that person, right? So outside of the person of loss. So micro connections with people, maybe allowing yourself to pick up a new craft, journaling, going for walks, joining like a walk group, something that allows you to take you out of the moment and out of the experience just for a second, just to remind yourself and of the goodness and to relax your body for a second.
Let's talk about walking, which people can do quite easily.
Yes.
Why does that work so often as far as getting rid of some anxiety? What is it that occurs in that process?
So when we're walking, we're creating a left-right movement with our feet, which is very similar to the bilateral tapping that we do in EMDR, which allows the brain to slowly calm down and allow our resting and our minds to go at rest. So it's similar to the road. You see how it goes straight, but then it curves? Because if it goes straight for so long, we would literally be mesmerized by the road and keep going straight. So the same thing happens. So our body tends to slow down and it allows the mind to breathe. And a lot of times we're walking outside. The first thing we do when we step outside without even thinking about it, we breathe. We'll take in the breath of the fresh air. We don't do that when we enter our homes. We don't do it when we enter buildings. So it automatically clicks to the mind. You can let it go. You can let it go.
And that's real stuff that happens. It's not magic. It's known. It's scientific. And this is what's going to occur when you go do that.
Absolutely. Yes.
And you happen to mention the word dreaming.
Yes.
Or dreams.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about the importance of dreams, if you can recall them, right? And the pleasantry or not so pleasantry with that.
So dreams sometimes is our subconscious, they say, is creating or manifesting things that maybe we've seen or experienced or thought of throughout the day or through the years, right? So our minds will go there without us knowing. So a lot of times when working with kids, we'll have them draw their dreams if they can remember. Draw the color, draw how you felt, right, in the dream. For adults, we ask to just remember, but because we can't specifically say that this dream is attached to this specific moment and it will happen, a lot of times we just see them as maybe guidance, maybe something to be aware of, but nothing to really fixate and focus on and try to make it a reality. Because at the end of the day, it's a dream and it's our subconscious that's starting to maybe wake us up on something or alerting us to something that may come.
So if somebody's having a dream and they realize they're in the dream, and then they wake up for whatever reasons that is, if they want to hold on to that, what could somebody do so they could recall it and deal with it a little bit later?
So I always say journal. Always having a paper and pencil by your on your nightstand, or having your phone, and you can go ahead and just repeat it into the phone, write it down. Some people, they'll tend to draw with the images that they saw in the dream if they're very artsy, or that's the way that they connect. You can do that. But a lot of times, some of our dreams, I don't think we're supposed to remember them. I think it's a time that we've experienced. I know recently I have lost my aunt, who's very, very close and dear to me. Sometimes I'll dream of her. I'll dream of moments. And I see those as like, thank you, God. Like, thank you for giving me the strength to know that she's okay. Even if I don't know, but that dream made me feel good, So sometimes we don't know,
And when we have dreams, there are lots of ways to look at it and how you feel about it. And so often we could look at it a different way. So you could have a dream of somebody that you lost. You could feel sad. On the other hand, thank you for coming around. Yep. I got it.
I got it. Yep. I know now.
So and again, walking is very therapeutic, and go out. When I was struggling with some things, a friend of mine said, that park near your house? He said, go for a walk. I'll tell you what, it was probably about a half-mile park, pretty big park. It was wonderful. When I got done expressing all of it, it was just wonderful. And I've recommended that to a whole bunch of people. Go for a walk. You're going to feel good.
Absolutely.
And again, so often people think that it's hokey pokey. Because they're thinking they're walking all the time anyway. But there's something about being in nature. So tell us about how that affects the mind.
So the way that nature affects our mind is very different than walking into a building or focusing on work. Like, our minds are in a different place. Nature triggers to us relaxation. Whenever we think of relaxation, we think of nature. We think of outdoor. We think of spa. So it puts our mind in that. And then we're breathing. That's really the biggest thing that we do when we walk, is we're intentional about our breathing, and we're intentional on releasing it. So when I tell my clients to go for a walk, I tell them you're only allowed to focus on what you see. If you don't see it, you can't think about it. So if it's a tree, then you're thinking about, oh, that's just a wonderful tree that's brown in the leaves. So stay focused on walking, because walking allows us to be present, and we're not present throughout the day. We're 10 steps ahead. I can tell you, I'm sitting here with you and I already know what my 1, my 2, my 3 looks like, because That's just how our mind works. But walking allows us to be right in it, present in the moment.
And let's talk about people that forget things frequently when they walk into another room. Yep. And so I was reading some work. And so now if I'm walking into another room, I forgot where I was going. So I go back into the room.
Mm-hmm. You retrace your steps.
And you go, oh, that's it.
Exactly. You retraced your steps to remember what made you leave, because there was something that told you to trigger you to walk out the room.
Yes.
So by retracing your steps, it originates that original message.
I was watching on one of the social media. This is what it's like to have attention deficit. So the guy goes to start washing the dishes. And then he's like, oh, there's some dirt on the ground. So he puts the dish away, picks up the dirt, and he says, oh, let me put it in the garbage. Oh, I got to change the garbage there. Exactly. And it was hysterical because so often that is us as we walk from room to room to room, and we get distracted.
Yes.
And of course, we forget what the original goal was.
What the original goal was. And a lot of times what happens is because we're not present on what we're doing. When that's what happens with people that suffer from ADHD or ADD, you're not truly present because in that moment, your mind has already shifted and gone to the next thing. But if you were to take some deep breaths, for those that don't, of course, there's always outliers that need medication to assist, which is not a negative at all. But for some, it could be that taking some deep breaths, maybe putting music, allows you to slow your pace down and allows you to complete a task each task completely before moving on.
In the mornings, I get in pretty early and I write in the mornings. And it's like, I have to finish it because I know if I don't finish it, I'll be gone. And if I'm almost done, no matter how many times we've written it, and somebody interrupts me, oh my goodness, I get like, bang, I'm out. And then it's hard to get back to where you want to be.
Yes, it is. It's hard to train the brain to go back to the original because a new situation has been given to you that your brain goes into solving, goes into digging into more. So it's hard to go back to the original because it's ready to move on. You kind of, by not finishing it, it knows it's a task that's still open, but you've told it it's okay to move on to the next because it's already gone. It's the moment you allow the interruption, it's very difficult to go back to the original without setting the intention, without saying, okay, I'm going to take care of that next once I'm done with this writing. So setting that intention will help the brain to shift back to, okay, this is what I'm focusing on right now.
Tell us about why you went into helping people in this manner.
I went into helping people for lots of reasons. It's something that does come very natural to me since I've been younger. It's been something that's near and dear, but more, I think I'm an empath. I can understand people's emotion. I'm very sympathetic. I will hear you out without judgment. I think it's just part of who I am. And I think it's the gift that God gave me, truly. And I love it, right? I love it. And holiday season is when I feel like I thrive the most because this is when my clients come to me and they truly need those tools that we've been working on all year. And it's great to see how last year they went to Thanksgiving and there was a fight, but then this year they went and there was nothing that happened. It's such a reward to see clients that can push through.
Let's talk about people that get ill, and it's significant. I'm not talking about breaking a bone, but something that's significant to them. How do people deal with that?
It's understanding that as much as your mind may want to feel young and it's not broken and everything is okay, you have to meet yourself where you're at that moment. It's going to your occupational therapy. It's speaking to your therapist to help you to mentally go through this change that's happening to you in that moment when you're ill. Because there's certain chronic pains that you have that can feel so detrimental and can isolate you without having the correct resources on how to deal with them, on how to control them and understand them.
I used to run a lot, and I would always, after I got done with a long run, I would always hurt.
Of course.
Exactly. Yeah. And we got used to it. Yeah. That's what's saying. You're going to go do this? Now you're a little older. And I go, well, I didn't do that thing and I'm hurting. Yes. Yeah, that's because of the clock, because of the watch, the calendar. Exactly. Yes, that's all there. So how can people move from they're still thinking that they're 30 or 40 years old, all of a sudden they turn around and they're 60, right? And everything doesn't work the way that it did before. Like, you could not sleep the night before, you could do a double shift and no problem, go back to work the next day and everything was good.
To be honest, it's being patient with yourself and understanding the new system that your body is going through. being patient, understanding that, okay, I was able to do an all-nighter last night. That's the first. I know I don't want to do that again. So maybe when I go to the doctor, I might talk about my lack of sleep, so it's finding little tools to help you during that time. But most important, it's being patient and letting yourself know that the same way when you were in your 20s and things happen and you could care for yourself, you could still do it now. It may look a little bit different, but you can still do it.
Let's talk about couples that get together. They come from different religious backgrounds.
Yes.
Tell us how the dynamics of that relationship exists, and then the families on each side, including Grandpa, who's really in a place on both sides.
So when we merge religion, it's just very important to be respectful, especially during the holidays right now. You have all of the celebrations coming up for each religious holiday and remembrance and respect. So it's teaching the kids to respect both and being honest about how much of it that you believe. It's honesty and being patient with the kids and not taking any side to say one is better than the other. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to religion, we're focusing on God, and at the base of God, it's being pure and truthful and helpful and honest and patient with people. So if that's what you're teaching your kids at the end of the day, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. They'll pick up which religion resonates with them more as they get older. But that's something that we go through once we're an adult and our frontal lobe has matured a little bit more and we're in a better place. Then we start dealing with religion ourselves.
So let's talk a little bit about the onset of schizophrenia, when that more or less occurs, and also about autism. A couple of years ago, a gentleman came in, asked us if we would give his son a chance. He had graduated from a local college, and he wanted to be in the production arena doing what we're doing here. And I said, he's not going to start screaming, is he? And I said that from all innocence.
Of course.
And he said, no, he graduated from college. And then the father showed me his phone, and on it was some videos. And I said to myself, Michael, do not lean over and look at it like you're going to make a judgment for this father or for the. So I said, okay, we're going to do it. And I said, it's going to be an internship. And I said, it's going to be for 3 days, 4 hours a day. And that's it. I was really adamant because I felt I was really being pushed around myself because of not knowing. And so by the end of the first day, we offered him a job, and he was here for 3 years.
That's amazing.
And so when I spoke to the dad the other day, and I said, I want you to know that the gift your son gave us is we have a better understanding.
Yes.
And because of that, coincidentally, in a bigger picture than that, we now have a weekly show about autism.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so when I explained to the dad, I said, that's your son. Your son gave us that gift, that it opened us to allow that to happen.
Of course.
And then we were having a meeting here. There were 40 people here. And I said to the group of people, you may not know why you're here, but you're here so we can talk about Autism Awareness Month.
That's awesome.
And then nobody knew we were going to talk about it. I was the only one. And who walks in? A guy, all right, who came to a meeting at some Chamber of Commerce people that were here. And he was wearing a hat. And it said, Autism Dad. And I said, who are you? And he goes, I said, I know it's not a coincidence that you're here. So you're going to be our fourth speaker. Stand right here.
Awesome.
And so that grew into something that's really significant for us. So sometimes the things that stress us the most, all right, can bring some happiness. So let's talk about the onset of when some parents first find out that their children have autism or some other differences with them. What is it like for the parents and for the family?
So when dealing with autism, with my expertise, it's helping the family to understand the difference, helping the family to understand that child's treatment plan that their ABA therapist has created for them, and where the family can help with understanding as a community, what we need to do to assist. So when working with families, a lot of times it's first allowing them to understand to just accept whatever it is that we have in front of us, right? Is to meet the child where they are. Because a lot of times as parents, we set expectations and we're like, no, by 1 year old, they should be doing this. By 2 years old, they should be doing this. And we know it and they teach it to us. It's in our body. So when our child doesn't do it, it almost makes us shock and be still and not know how to handle it. So it's understanding that, meet the child where they're at, allow everyone to accept and understand how they can be part of the child's life and watch them grow and create traditions that make sense for your family, not try to create traditions that make sense for the world, right? So a family that has a child that's maybe on the spectrum, high functioning, may not be okay in a big Thanksgiving dinner. That might be a little bit too much for them. So they might reduce it a little bit, right? They might make it a smaller family Thanksgiving dinner, and maybe they have an outdoor activity outside with everyone else so that the sensory isn't on such overload for the child. So it's just doing little things like that and being okay with being outside of tradition. Sometimes that's so hard for us as parents.
So how often do the parents say, it must be something in me, I'm the reason why?
Oh, trillion times.
Yeah.
Trillion times a minute. They blame themselves. The mothers, they'll blame themselves. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have eaten this. Maybe I shouldn't have done this. Maybe I should have done this more. Maybe I should have taken this extra vitamin. They do so much. They really affect them. They really affect their mental health by doing that, because then they question everything. Then they don't feel safe doing anything. It's, oh, but the doctor didn't tell me to do that. But you're still mommy. You're still mom. You still know your baby, So it causes doubt. That's what I usually focus on the most, is reducing the doubt and increasing the confidence.
There's a woman, she had twins, and they were 17 and a half months old. Big job, yep. Husband and wife, big house, big everything. 17 and a half months old. 2 weeks later, the kids no longer talk.
Oof.
She said, my job, the husband left.
Mm-hmm.
The father took off.
Yeah.
So it's stressful for everybody. Everybody handles it different. She said, Michael, my total job now is to transition these kids into adulthood.
Absolutely.
And she's committed to doing that. I've had real conversations with her. Mm-hmm. And so she lives, big house now, in an apartment. Mm-hmm. And she said, this is what we need to do. By the way, before I forget, 122nd Avenue and 56th Street, on the corner there's 5 acres out there. It's a zoo that was built for kids with autism and other disorders. Wow. They're selling Christmas trees. Stop by there, make a donation, pick up a tree or buy a tree for somebody.
Of course, support.
And when I hear the story from the parents, which is very common, right? Mm-hmm. I'm going to guess that every week I find 2 or 3 other people, as soon as I start talking about autism, that they'll bring up that. Miami-Dade County Commissioner Raquel Vargalado, she was here, and she said, and she has 2 different fathers, mm-hmm. right? And she says they deserve a seat at the table.
Absolutely.
It took me a while to get that in my brain.
Yes.
All right. And it's like, and we have to make that happen and let that happen. All right. Yes. And we have to make it available to happen. Mm-hmm. So what can we do as a business community, business owners, and concerned people to help that occur?
Not see them as a difference. Accept their unique ways of viewing the world as an okay way. As much as we want to create and put them in a box, their minds are very different than ours. They function very different than ours. They're linear thinkers. So it's different the way they perceive and see the world. And I think we have to see that as a gift and not see it as, oh, it's a curse and they need to be pushed aside and isolated and not communicate. We need to bring them in. Look how you said that gentleman was an assistance to you here. So having more of that, seeing them as part of our community and allowing more people to accept, right? And I feel that sometimes family members can sometimes put doubt more than outside. So it's allowing family to pour in more positive, especially during the holidays, especially in these moments when we're all together, and to see if that can help to bring that person more into the community.
There's a young man that I know, he put on LinkedIn this, mm-hmm. just because we don't smile doesn't mean we're not happy. Mm-hmm. Just because we don't laugh doesn't mean we don't think it's funny. Right. We just process things differently.
Yes.
That gave permission to me to have the conversation with him because he made it public.
Yeah.
And it was like a wonderful thing that I just happened to see it. I don't know how it was. And so I know there are things that we can do, but if there's a local business out there that if they wanted to reach out to an organization, whether it's autism or whatever it is there a place that you know that they could go and say, listen, we have a business here. We'd like to be able to help somebody a little bit more by giving them an opportunity. Is there a place where they could go?
I would say checking out any either a mental health clinic that's in the area. I know for me, I have schools that I work closely with, and I go and I give them my time. It's just creating, as if you're a business owner, it's just reaching out to the local business that services that population and just assisting them in any way that you can. So I know for me, it's a joy that I have. So I'll give back to the local schools, especially the ones in my area, and I give them my time and I work closely with them. And
were you a school teacher for what? You worked for the school?
I was. Yep. I was a school teacher for 12 plus years. I love it. It's at the heart of who I am. I just love working and teaching and helping. So teaching to me is just an extension of that, It's definitely.
Many years ago, I had the pleasure of helping two young gentlemen. They were both at FIU, and they were trainers, personal trainers. Well, one is now a nurse practitioner.
Nice.
And his wife is a nurse practitioner.
Awesome.
And they brought in a doctor, and they're in practice in Broward County. And just to be able to provide a foundation for them. I've worked with them for years, and they're in like freshman, sophomore, juniors, and I would do parties in my house. So you're coming to my house because I want you to meet people that have graduate degrees. You're going to see that you can do this, right? And so, and the other one did is equally as well. So I know there's a lot of things that we can do. So again, we have Christmas is around the corner.
Yes.
All right. Lots of happiness, lots of grief. All right.
Lots of grief. Yeah.
And then we have this new year.
Yes.
That means we're all another like a year older.
We're all a year older. Yep. And then that means the year before, there should be some things that you wrote down that you should have had a completion. That too. So bringing in the new year sometimes brings in even more stress because there's always goals that we set for ourselves. And now we have to look at them and say, did I meet it? How far am I in the same spot? So sometimes that reflecting can affect.
There's a local joke. January 1st, everybody wants to lose weight, stop smoking, eat healthier, and they sign up for the gym, and in March, the gym is empty.
Yep.
So let's talk about how not to set yourself up.
It's creating goals for yourself that's not part of your daily life. So someone who's wanting to lose weight, to say that you never entered the gym ever, that now you're going to go every single day and never miss a day till you hit this goal of yours, is setting yourself up for a goal that you're going to put yourself through so much where you can say, I'm going to go to the gym twice a week, just 2 days. And I might go for a 30-minute walk, 15 minutes one way, 15 minutes back. Starting is the key, and creating a consistency that works for you allows it to be successful. It's almost like baking a cake and being like, okay, I'm going to bake a 5-tower story with all things on it. Let's start small.
So if somebody's in their 50s and they want a personal trainer, don't get some 19-year-old. Get somebody that gets it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You're 50, right?
Right.
And you haven't done much recently.
Right. You're gonna need someone who understands the body, that understands where you're at, where your body's at, and where you're at mentally. Because a lot of times with the gym, what I hear from the personal trainers that I work with, it's all mental. It's because you see the weight so big, you're like, I can't do it. But if you train yourself, you can. We have bodybuilders for a reason. They've trained themselves. They put themselves in that type of body in the setting to do it. So a lot of times our mind stops us. So it's getting a personal trainer that can understand your mind, because your mind needs to be saying yes. And so your body can respond with yes. But if the mind is saying no, it takes a body a really long time to say yes.
Sometimes there's an advantage of being in a group, and sometimes there's not. Tell us about some of the good reasons to be in a group and the not so good reasons.
The group setting is good because it allows you to balance energy and create connections with other people, right? Those are some of the micro connections that help us to create bigger connections. So group setting is really good, but it depends where you are as a person. If this is the first time you're starting to work out, you might not want to join a group where everyone has been in the gym maybe for 6-7 months already, and you're now joining. You may want to be in a smaller group or a group that's just starting out. And it's also you also want to be mindful of where your body's at, right? Are you at a place where you're trying to lose 10 pounds or you're trying to lose 30 pounds and make it a lifestyle change? That might differ which group you want to be a part of.
Well, I'm glad you brought up about the losing weight and lifestyle changes. With all the GLP medicines that are out, they've been pretty active for 3 or 4 years.
Yes.
It seems as though a lot of my heavier friends aren't so heavy anymore.
Right.
And it seems as though they've been on long enough and we were able to make some changes to where their lifestyle is much more active.
Yes. If you make changes with it and created a new lifestyle for yourself, it assists you to stay on that path, because it also assists with suppressing some of the bad habits that stop us from being successful. So it's doing a great job. It's when we're only taking it and we're not doing anything else. This is when it's not going to help, because the moment we stop taking it, we didn't change our lives. Everything's going to come back,
Right. And in your practice, you're, again, Palmetto Bay. Yes. By the way, the mayor, Karen Cunningham, is going to be here in a couple hours.
Awesome.
I look forward to talking with her. The there. I should go back into the room because I completely forgot.
You're going to say the practice, in Palmetto Bay.
Yeah. So, why did you pick Palmetto Bay?
I love Palmetto Bay because I feel like it's central for me. It allows me to go into every little other boroughs without feeling like I'm losing home. I'm losing the foundation of where I want to be. It provides a very small, quiet environment, which allowed my clients to feel most comfortable. So I love it.
So typically somebody that's driven like you have your PhD and you made a commitment to children when you were teaching, and now you made a commitment to humanity. Tell us about growing up in your family.
My family dynamic, I come from a Haitian background, of course. We're Haitian American. I'm Haitian American. So a lot of my family, all of our time we spent together. We lived in a home where my aunt and uncle was with us for a period of time, where we all lived together until each of them could buy their own homes. And we all lived as a community. So having family meetings was very often in my household. I feel like it happened daily. And it really helped us to create a bond and a security amongst each other, to always have a sense of we're working on something together as a whole. And each of us have our little parts, but once we stick our parts together, it's just so much greater. And my family taught me that at a very young age.
Where'd you get the moral commitment to help people?
Oh, I think maybe from my mom. My mom is always helping. She doesn't know how to not help. And I'm her daughter. And I was always right. I'm her pocketbook. Like, she told everyone, that's my purse. Let's go. So I went everywhere with her, and I can just see how much it brings her so much joy just to help, just to give. And so I'm giving in my own way. I'm giving in a way because I feel that by helping you mentally think better, I feel that it will create a better action out of you. And that to me is at the core.
There's a neurosurgeon, he's on one of the social media, and he said, my son was involved in a DUI. He was the driver and he killed himself. Oh. So he talked about it at the funeral. He said there were people there for an hour, some in the snow. And near the end was this sort of older guy, came in and said, you don't know me, but I knew your son. And I was the custodian at the school. He said he would come by every so often and he'd ask me questions about me. And when he said that, he says, because he talked about me. Yeah. And he says, so the doc says, there's some people that are out there, they'd love for you to ask them. I'm thinking about that. I'm walking out of a building down the street, and his car is pulled up to the sidewalk. The driver won't get out. This older guy, he was probably older, sort of changes, but he was at least 80. He was struggling to get out of the car. I walked over to him, and I helped him get out of his car.
Awesome.
And it was just like that. The effect of listening to that neurosurgeon talk about that one little thing. And he just said to me, "Thank you." I said, "You're welcome." And so often when we get to do those things, right? As small as that was a really big thing for the recipient of that. And selfishly, I felt really grand,
of course,
in doing that. So, and it's a wonderful thing to be able to do.
Yeah. And just like if you're at the line at Publix, like if the person behind you has one item and you have a cart full, it's okay to tell them they can go in front of you. Your cart you'll still have time to get everything on the cart. So it's those little forms of humanity that I try to teach my clients. And the way that you can teach people to do that is once you're in a healthy place. If you're not in a healthy place, you can't give out a helping hand, because it's not going to feel genuine. It's not going to feel authentic, because the person needs someone to give them a helping hand. So that's why it's so important. And I think, again, the holidays is a time that we really, truly see how those anxious, tense moments really erupt once we all get together.
And again, so let's say you're going through your Christmas stuff and you get a little anxious, there's a couple things people can do to feel a little bit better. What are some things they can do?
So set some realistic expectations that match your budget. So meaning if your budget is $20, $30, that is fine. Get what you can with it. Don't put yourself in a financial debt that when January comes, when it's supposed to be new year, new me, I'm doing everything different, you're starting out in a financial hole. You're starting out in a debt. So set expectations that match your wallet, not your emotion. We all would love to give everyone the $1 million gift. Wouldn't you want to give out cars to everyone here or homes? We all would love to do that, but we have to be realistic. And I would say the next thing is ask yourself, what boundaries do you need to set for yourself during the holidays? There's certain people, they're triggers. So I might not start a conversation with them, right? It might be like, hi, how are you? How's everything? Wonderful. I'm going to go help so-and-so over here. I'll be back. That might be how you communicate so that you're still in the environment, enjoying your family, right? Still having those precious moments. So setting correct boundaries and also understanding your loneliness. For a lot of people, the holidays trigger the most deepest form of loneliness because we are isolated from family if we can't travel due to financial means or due to just you can't travel. And we're also lonely because a lot of times we're in a room full of people and we don't feel like we've connected with anyone or anyone has heard us. So it's really, truly being honest with yourself and set boundaries, creating an understanding of, okay, so I'm lonely right now because I'm not where I want to be at work. So I'm not going to talk about work when I go to dinner. I'm going to talk about maybe other things that I like to do. So I'm going to skip that topic so I can connect with everyone and kind of reduce on the loneliness that I'm feeling. So it's doing little things like that, but you got to be patient with yourself, right? And truthful.
And we know if there's a subject that is guaranteed to have people adamant on either side, if you bring it up, you're going to hear it.
Oh, yeah.
So make a decision.
Make a decision and stick to it, right? And then there's different ways of saying that you don't want to talk about it, right? Because there's certain families that because life has changed, maybe daughter has moved somewhere else, has a different ideology on life, maybe son now thinks differently. Everyone is living and kind of functioning in our own bubble and gathering information. So now when we come to Thanksgiving, it's like, okay, maybe we don't talk about all the differences that we have. Maybe we focus on how tradition is the same for us.
And as we're winding down here, let's talk about some life events that occur that are big stressors.
Yes.
Let's hear a few.
So a death, moving, baby, marriage, divorce, a car accident, graduating from school. You know, the list goes on and on. Those are major holidays, I would say, is right on the list.
And so part of that is to recognize, hey, this just happened. Yes. Of course it's upsetting. Of course I feel like this. Right?
Of course. It's understanding that this year I moved and we had a baby. Of course I'm stressed out and I'm a little bit overwhelmed and I don't know if I'm coming or going. I moved and had a baby. I did two of the most stressful things. Or I had a loss this year. Things don't feel right. I feel empty. Yes, you had a loss. But because we have to show up for work on Monday, because we have to financially ensure the stability of our family, sometimes what we go through as people doesn't resonate with us until the holidays come and there's an empty chair. And it's like, oh yeah, so-and-so did pass away. Oh my, that's why I've been crying in the shower. It's not because of stress. It's because I miss them. We don't connect until we're forced to.
And it's okay to say that.
Yes.
And that's part of it is, you know, the old saying, the truth will set you free, and just there, and then you don't have to remember it. You can call it back if you want to have that conversation.
Exactly. If you just tell everyone, you know, I might be a little off because I lost so-and-so, or I might be a little off because I just had a baby. I'm hormonal. Right. That's very natural, right? It's being honest with yourself.
Wonderful.
Of course.
Doctor, thank you so much.
Of course. It's always a pleasure.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you. And I hope there's no stress. Stress is at a minimal.
Right. If somebody wants to reach you, that's all they need to do is call up there.
Call the office.
Terrific website, by the way. I love it.
Thank you. Right. Thank you very much. Yep. They can give us a call. They can go on the website, blisstherapy.me. Like you said, I'm in the Palmetto Bay area, but I also service the entire state of Florida.
Okay. Wonderful. Also, we want to say hello to Emily, who's producing the show. Why don't we, there she is, Emily. Can you put that on Priscilla over there? Let's see. We're going to move oh my goodness.
Oh, wow.
Where's Priscilla? There's Priscilla. She's graduating from FIU next Tuesday, I think.
Yes.
Next Tuesday? on Monday. So congratulations.
Awesome. Congrats.
All right. Again, let's look into that camera right there.
All right.
So my brother Grant and I subscribe to the Disney rule, which is when you hug someone, don't stop until they do. Happy holidays. Thanks for joining us. Bye now.